just going to wrap this up, but I just want to say thank you so much for coming out tonight. The message you're going to get tonight is great. All the football guys that are here, all the young people that are here, you're the future, man. You're the future of this community. You're the future of this nation. Listen, open your ears, open your hearts up. Be receptive to the message tonight because it's going to be a special one. I just want to thank you guys all for coming, taking the time, and that's what it's all about, time. Thank you, guys. We'll talk to you later.
On behalf of the Joe Nuxhall Character Education Fund and the Fairfield Community Foundation, we proudly present Building Men for Others. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Joe Ehrmann, Jeffrey Marks, Sean Casey, Joe Nuxhall, and Kim Nuxhall. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the old left-hander, Joe Nuxhall.
You're all putting pressure on me now.
I think you're going to enjoy this evening and get a tremendous message from it. As far as the Character Education Foundation, I think we all understand why we're here and the messages we will hear this evening and what character is all about. And they'll be even better kids, and that's the idea and the goals of the Character Education program, to make better citizens and good citizens even better.
The root word of character is care. And what a wonderful examples of caring we have here this evening. The mission of the Joe Nuxhall Character Education Fund is to increase the awareness and the development of character to create a more respectful society.
This is what it's all about. You know what I mean? I mean, we come together tonight, 4,000 plus strong for a cause. And that's become better people. And I think that's what it's all about. When it's all said and done, it'll be about what relationships did you have, you know? What kind of husband were you? What kind of father were you? What kind of wife were you? What kind of son were you? What kind of daughter were you? And I think that's what's so special about tonight. And that was what's so special about the book, Season of Life.
And at that time, the word coach was used to define a horse-drawn carriage. But it wasn't just any old carriage. That horse-drawn carriage had a specific purpose: to transport a person of importance from where he or she is to where he or she wants to be, needs to be, or ought to be going. Now, in an ideal world, isn't that what we would ask out of our sports coaches, especially our youth sports coaches? Well, the summer of 2001, I went to their first football practice. The very first thing I saw was a coach standing in front of those boys saying to them, "What is our job?" Our job meaning Joe and the other coaches, and the boys yelled back in unison, "To love us." "What is your job?" the coach yelled back, and the boys yell out together, "To love each other." Now I'm standing there thinking, what in the world is going on here? I couldn't imagine that this was football. Well, I stuck with that team through the entire season, and that's what led to this Season of Life book. Empathy, integrity, inclusion, justice, living a life of service to others. That's what Gilman football is all about. That's what the Building Men for Others program is all about. And that's what the Season of Life book is all about.
So I spent 13 years playing professional football. And, you know, when I kind of look back over that, the thing that I was able to take out of the team sports life in the NFL was this concept of a team. It's really the concept of a community. Now, what you have in the NFL is you have 53 men. You have black men and white men. You have men that come out of the inner city of America, from the suburbs, from the farmlands, all over this country. And every fall, they come together and they form this community called a team. How do we come together? Come together as one community, across old racial, social, economic, geographical, religious divisions and come together as one community. You know that in America this year, we'll have 3 million children that are going to be reported abused, abandoned, or neglected. That's one child every 10 seconds in this nation. Now, I can guarantee you those are not acts of God. Those are the result of moral, political, economic decisions we make in this country. And somewhere we've got to come together on behalf of children. Because the measurement of any community, the measurement of any country is how you look out for the weakest, most vulnerable citizens. And if you want to paint a picture of poverty, neglect, and abuse in America today, it's the picture of a child. And to me, the single greatest crisis, the single greatest issue in the America today is the crisis of masculinity. It's a crisis about what does it mean to be a man. See, I want to say that there's 3 basic lies. 3 lies that are fed to every man and every boy in this country. And they're part of our culture. I call it a national wound. To be a young boy or a man in this country is to get wounded by the lies about masculinity. Think about the violence toward women and girls in this country. You know, in America this year, we'll have over 650,000 reported rapes. As men, you're scared to death when your wife is out there after 10 o'clock at night. You know, the most dangerous institution in America for women today is the American home. We'll have between 1 and 3 million women that will be reported physically and or sexually abused by intimate partners alone. We'll have 1 out of 4 girls in America will be sexually abused by the age of 18. 1 out of 5 teenage dating relationships involve some kind of physical or sexual force. Somehow we've created a generation of men that think they can take their size and strength to control and to manipulate and to hurt women in this country. Now, my father came back in the house and he had a clear definition of what it means to be a man. His concept was men don't cry, men don't feel, men don't need, men don't want, and men don't touch. If you're going to be a man in this world, what you've got to do is learn how to use your size and strength to control situations and people. And I remember my father wanted me to get this certain snap on the end of my jab, and I just couldn't quite do it. I so wanted to please him. I so wanted him to see something special in me, and I couldn't get this snap on the jab. And I remember my frustration. And I remember the feeling of frustration coming from my father. And then these tears started coming down my face. Tears of frustration. And somehow they touched some kind of anger, some kind of shame in my father. And I remember him just reaching out and starting to slap me. See, as 5 years old, he wanted to teach me how to control my tears, how to control my emotions. 5-year-old boy. See, what he taught me was how to begin to learn how to disconnect my heart from my head. And I'm this 5-year-old boy crying, needing, wanting to feel my father's arms around me, longing for him to look me in the eye and just to say, I love you. Not because you can throw jabs, not because you're going to end up in the NFL, but because you're my son. 7 years into the league, and I started to lose perspective about where I had come from and where I was going. I started to realize that I had climbed this ladder of success that was taking me nowhere. I couldn't become a better ball player than I was 7 years into my career. It still wasn't enough to get my father to give me the respect and affection and love that I so desperately wanted. I had an 18-year-old brother that was facing death. And when he needed somebody to wipe away that tear and to hug him and embrace him, I found myself with nothing but old locker room speeches about sucking it up. No pain, no gain, we'll get through this thing. I'll never forget the third night I was in his hospital room. I had a cot put next to his bed, and I spent every night there from training camp all the way to the end of the season, only going on the away trips. And I remember as a man, third night in there watching him start this horrendous dying process, I just took this pillow and I put it over my head and I just started to cry. And I'll tell you, those first tears came and then billows of tears came. They were a whole adult life of repressed feelings and emotions. And I put that pillow over my head because I still hung on to the belief that men don't cry. Somehow that's some kind of weakness. What's the purpose of life? Do you live and you die? You have some good times, some bad times, and then everybody walks away and that's the end of it? Where does meaning come from in this world? Where's the real value and the purpose of life? 7 years into my professional career, I had acquired and achieved and accomplished beyond anything I could imagine, and I had no concept about the purpose of life or how to live a life that really counts. And ultimately, my question became this: who am I? Who am I really? Who was I created to be? I had become this machine, this thing, trying to project some kind of image based on my own woundedness in this world. And my question became, what does it mean to be a man? And here's what I know. At the end of your life, if you were to die tomorrow and be on the deathbed today, there's only two things you're going to ask yourself. There's only two measurements of your value and worth as a man. And the first is this: that all of life, when you think about it and look back over it, all of life is about relationships. Being a man has to involve the capacity to love and to be loved. To look someone in the eye and say, I love you, and then receive that love back. At the end of your life on your deathbed, here's the questions you're going to ask as a man. It's not going to have anything to do with your athletic ability or awards or sexual conquest or how big your billfold was. Your questions are going to be this: what kind of husband was I? What kind of father was I? What kind of son? What kind of friend? What kind of teammate? What kind of citizen? What kind of co-worker? Everything is about relationships. You know, there's 20 to 30 million children in America that play recreational sports. There's another 10 million that play interscholastic high school sports. 40 million children out there. One of the most influential adults that they'll ever have in their lives is a coach. And coaches have the opportunity to either speak life into children or to speak death into them. Now I want to say this to the young men here. See, I talked about a father woman. Here's what I know in America today. You know, we have 40% of boys, children in this country, that'll go to bed tonight without their biological dads in the house. We've got 68% of African American children in this country being born outside of wedlock. 30% nationally. We have a tremendous father wound. There's three kinds of dads in this country. The first is a missing dad. Those are dads that have abdicated. They've abdicated their roles as fathers. They've cut off themselves from their children. The second kind of dad in this country is a dismissive dad. They kind of have a presence, but they're emotionally absent. They're not investing, they're not depositing. When those kind of dads die, their kids think of them as the Lone Ranger. Who was that masked man? I have no idea who and what he was about. He didn't deposit, he didn't model, he didn't nurture, or he didn't train me up in masculinity. And then we have a third kind of dad, and they're mission-minded dads. They're the dads that stand up and know that what their job is to do is to give their sons a clear and compelling definition of masculinity. They need to teach their boys about what it means to be a man and how a man lives. They're the kind of dads that teach their boys that you've been put on this earth for some kind of purpose, and that purpose is to make the world a better place. You know how you're going to heal Cincinnati? You're going to heal it one father, one son, one family at a time. And when you have children in your community that were like me, that didn't have dads, or they had dads that wounded them, they then become the responsibility of all the other men in this community. And what we need is a community of men that are going to look all young boys in the eyes and give them some kind of affirmation, some kind of word of value to build them up and say, I see something in you that's special and unique. You have a future, you have a hope. And I'll close with this to the young men here. See, I would say this: if you don't have a dad, or you have a dad that doesn't have the capacity to say, I love you and value and appreciate you, I would just suggest this. Tonight when you go home, just get off to a quiet place in silence and solitude, and just see if you can hear the whisper of God say, I love you. I'm pleased with you. You're special, you're unique, you're going to be a man in this world that makes a difference. Thank you very much.
And I encourage you guys to go out after you leave here, all you guys in sports and all you guys, all the people that are here. Develop your relationships with your family. Develop your relationships with your wife and your husbands and your daughters and your sons to be the best that they can be. Because I tell you what, if we work on our families and we work there to make them the best that we'll be, we'll have the greatest community around and the greatest nation around. Look at your relationships with your family. Look to others where you can help and make a difference. And I just thank you all for being here tonight, and God bless you.
It's just been a great project, and one more time I want to thank you all for being here and helping with the project. Good luck to you all, and have a safe trip home, and I hope you all become better men.